Hi, I'm Larry Trocha, and I'm here today to do a video on starting colts. I'd like to share with you some of the techniques that have worked well for me, and I think they'll work well for you too. So anyway, let's get started with the video, and I hope you like it. Before we get started with the demonstration on the live colts, I'd like to take a couple minutes here to talk about my philosophy, my theory about colt starting in general. To my way of thinking, that first 90 to 120 days of that colt's training is probably the most important training that he'll ever receive. That sets the stage for the rest of his working life. And usually, if that initial training has gone well, that colt will have a tendency to work well the rest of his working life. If he got off to a bad start, there's a good chance that he's going to have problems later on in his life. Things won't go as well. So to me, that first 90, 120 days is just critical that things go well at that time. I like to see a colt starting method that is number one, safe for the colt and safe for the rider also. I don't want to risk getting hurt, and I hate risking the colt getting hurt. Sometimes it happens, it's unavoidable, accidents do happen, but for the most part, the methods that you're going to see today, very safe way to start a colt. The other thing that I want is I want things to be logical. The horse training needs to be simple. It needs to be done in progressive steps that the colt can understand. You know, step A, step B, step C, so that it's easy for the colt to learn it. I don't want the colt to get confused. I want him to be confident. And so these are things that I try to do when I start a colt. The other thing I wanted to touch on is the qualifications of the trainer for starting the colt. A lot of horse owners think that they'll save some money by starting their own colt. They don't want to pay the trainer to do it. But because that first 90 to 120 days is so important, if you have any doubts in your ability at all, that's the time to send the colt to the trainer. Don't risk messing him up because you don't have the qualifications to start him. And in my opinion, the main things that you need to have if you're going to start your own colt is, number one, you need to be able to read a horse's thoughts and emotions. You need to be able to tell what that colt's thinking before he acts. Okay, because that's how you're going to keep him out of trouble. You need to be able to read his body language. If he's getting ready to panic, you need to realize it before he actually panics, so you can kind of talk him out of it. You also need to have good balance. When it's time to actually make this first ride on the colt, that colt has to feel your body be relaxed. If you're scared to death and you have the death grip on his head, you're going to actually panic him. He feels that you're panicked, and he's going to think, whoa, I need to get out of here, something's wrong. So if your balance isn't real good, you shouldn't start your own colt. The other thing is you have to have a lot of patience. If you have a tendency to lose your temper, or you don't have patience, you really shouldn't be starting your own colt. It's critical that colt has time to learn without you yelling at him and jerking on him and everything else. He has to feel confident. So those are the main things that I want to see in starting colts. A lot of people have the misconception that they can't start their colt as a 2-year-old because he's too small. And I disagree with that. A colt will start a lot easier as a 2-year-old than he will as a 3 or a 4-year-old. I'd rather go ahead and start him as a 2. If he is small, you might only want to work with him a couple weeks and then then let him off. But I want to do something with that colt as he's a 2-year-old. It'll just go a lot smoother. You really don't have to worry about hurting a colt's bone structure or his joints when they're small. It doesn't matter if a big horse has the same bone density and joint development as a smaller horse, and the bigger horse is carrying a lot more weight. So it's actually the bigger horse that you risk hurting more than the little horse. So I never let that worry me. And here again, common sense comes into play. If your colt is small, you're not going to spend 2 hours out there with him. You know, spend 15 minutes, get a little something done, and put him up. So anyway, those are the main things that I wanted to stress about starting your colt. And we'll get started with the demonstrations here. And I think you're going to like what you see. Now we're going to get started with this colt here. He's a 2-year-old. He was raised by some folks that have handled him quite a bit, so he's not afraid of people. He's kind of a good-natured guy. They've done a little bit with him, but they haven't done much with him. And actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the paces of the first step of the colt starting process here. Now this colt in particular, I don't know him very well. This is the first time I've handled him. He's only been here for a couple days, and right off the bat, I noticed he's a little disrespectful. He really thinks of me as his plaything more than anything. He's trying to bite on me, and he's kind of doggy. He doesn't really want to lead. You know, I got to kind of drag him around. And what I want him to do is, number one, I want to establish respect. I want him to know that when I tell him to do something or ask him to do something, you know, he's supposed to at least try. He doesn't have to get it immediately, but he needs to try. And he also needs to respect me, that he has to look to me for guidance. In the wild, horses are in a herd, and there's always a pecking order in that herd. There's the most dominant horse, and then there's a more submissive horse, and so on down the line. And the dominant horse is the one that runs the show. And the more submissive horses, they don't give that dominant horse any trouble. And basically, I want this colt to recognize me as, in our relationship, I'm the dominant one, okay? So we're gonna get started here. And the first thing that I want him to do is I want him to lead when I ask him to lead, instead of just standing there and pulling on me. Now, I have gloves on to protect my hands in case he tries to pull away from me. And I have a medium-sized training whip, and these are the only two aids that I'm gonna use to do this. Now he's chewing on the lead rope. I'm gonna let him know that I don't want that. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask him to lead, and as soon as he feels the pressure on his halter to go forward, I'm gonna reach back here and I'm gonna tap him on the hindquarters, okay? And I'm just gonna have the camera follow me around, and I'm gonna work him just like I would as if I was here by myself and starting this colt. So here we go. I'm gonna step forward, put a little pressure on the halter. He's not going. Give him a tap with the whip. Good. Now he responded to that pretty well. Now he's lagging behind. Give him another tap. Now he decides he's gonna try to get away from me. It's fine. I just gather him back up. I'm gonna tug on the halter, give him a tap. Tug on the halter, give him a tap. Good. Now he didn't move forward, but at least moved. So he's starting to get the idea. It's not perfect, but he at least moved. So I'm gonna tug on the halter, give him a tap. Good. And it's important that when he moves forward, I release the pressure on the halter. That's his reward. I ask him to move by putting pressure on it. When he moves forward, I release the pressure. And this is imperative. You have to give him the reward for him to understand what we're doing here. So I put pressure on the halter, I'm tugging on it, give him a tap, he backed up, I'm gonna back up with him. Now he thinks he can just get away from me by backing up like this. See the look on his face, his ears are back. Now this is where reading your horse's thoughts come in. He's not afraid. He's kind of ticked off at me. He's thinking, I don't want to do this, but he's going to. So here we go. Give him a tug. He's not going forward. Give him a tap. And here he goes. He's trying to get away from me. Cluck to him a little bit, tug on this. Good. That time he went forward. Good. Now he's going to try to get away. Tug on the lead rope, tap him with the whip, and here he goes. But he's going to try to get away. Now, later on, I'm going to be stopping him from running past me like that. But right now, you can only teach the horse one thing at a time. Right now, the one thing I want to teach him is when I tug on the halter, he's supposed to go forward, okay? If he overreacts, I'm gonna have to live with that a little bit. Tug on it. He stepped forward, I release the halter. He's not going forward. There, release it. Release it. Tug on it. As soon as he goes forward, I release the pressure. Now he's sawing up. He's just going, well, I'm just not going to do anything. So I'm going to keep tugging on it. I'm going to get back here. I'm going to tap him with the whip. And he went backwards. And he thinks backing up like that, he's going to escape me. And now the look on his face, he's really upset. He's actually thinking about biting me right now. And I don't want him to think about that, so I give him a little smack there. Good. Notice when I got back by his hip, he went forward. Now I really don't like his attitude here. He's not even trying. So we're gonna go to plan B. Plan B is I'm gonna lead him with my left hand, and if he doesn't go forward, I'm gonna pop him with the whip with my right hand. And I'm gonna just make him go forward no matter what. So here I go. Bump, bump, bump with my left hand, pop, pop, pop with my right hand, until he goes forward. Good. Now once he goes forward, I put the whip down. I don't want him overreacting to this whip. Same thing. I'm going to lead him with my left hand. There, boy, he went right on through. It helps to have this fence. Lead him with the left hand, good. Now he's just running back and forth. Not liking that. Okay, here again, I'm gonna lead him with my left hand, ask him to go forward, and he went forward, good. Now, we'll change directions. I put the lead rope in my right hand, the whip in my left hand. I'm gonna tug him here, bump, bump, bump. He's not going forward, he's backing up. I'm gonna keep bumping him. There. Went through, give him slack. Bump him with the right hand, ask him to go forward, and there he goes. As soon as he goes forward, I quit bumping the lead rope. Now he's running around. When he runs past me Now he knows to go forward. Now he's going forward on his own. I'm gonna pull him around every time he goes past me. I don't want him to be running past me like that. Okay, good boy. Ho. It's all right. Now, we're gonna go back to our regular leading lesson with me alongside of him. I'm gonna ask him to go forward, and he's not going. There. Now see, he doesn't know whether to go forward or backward here. And to tell you the truth, my guess is that his owner has done something to mess the deal up here. Now I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Because normally, he shouldn't be backing up like this. And he shouldn't be over. Now right there, turning his butt to me, he thought about kicking me. This goes back to no respect. A horse that respects you won't kick you. And he thought about letting me have it there. Now there's gonna be a fine line here between having him too scared and having him obey. But I'm not going to tolerate him even thinking about hurting me. So here we go. I'm going to lead him with my left hand, pop him on the shoulder with this whip. Good. And again, lead him with my left hand. Now see, he's going the wrong way. So I'm going to keep bumping him until he goes the right way. Pop him with the whip, and he thinks he's going to get away. There, went the correct way. And leading with my left hand, he's supposed to go there. Good. Ho, ho. Now we're going to do it to the right. Leading with my right hand. He's not going anywhere. I'm going to pop him on his shoulder with the whip. There we go. Leading with my right hand. He's not going. Whenever this hand goes out and bumps him, there we go. He should follow it. Again, ask him to go to the right. There he goes. Well, he did that pretty willingly. He's starting to understand. And you're seeing, oh. Now, this colt is overreacting a little bit. He thinks he's got to get going and get out of here. So he's actually teaching himself how to lunge, which is a good side benefit because that can come in handy. Later on, you'll see how we can use that. But here again, I'm just going to test him a little bit more. Lead him with my left hand. He's supposed to go. He's not going. Touch him with the whip. Ho. Ho. When I say ho, he's supposed to stop. If he doesn't, I'm going to pull him around. Ask him with my right hand. He's not going. He's totally ignoring it. Touch him with the whip. Now he's going the wrong way. Keep bumping him until he goes the right way. There he goes. Good. Now he's pulling on me pretty hard here, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna pull him strong one time. If they wanna pull you around, you're gonna pull on them a little bit, let them know that they're not supposed to pull on you. So here again, I'm gonna lead him with the right hand. Good. Good, good, good. Now I'm just gonna let him go around me. See if I can't get him to go around me without pulling on me. If he pulls on me, I'm gonna bump him with the rein, with the lead rope. Let him know that he has to stay in a circle here without pulling on me. Now, right off the bat, there's several things that I want to instill in the colt right away that's going to come in handy later. Number one is I want him to associate clucking with him to moving forward, okay? So from now on, I'm going to cluck to him as a signal to go forward. If he doesn't go forward, I'm going to give him a tap with the whip. I'm also going to use the word whoa. When I want him to stop, I'm going to say whoa, and then I'm going to bump him with the lead rope and make him stop. I want him to understand what those two verbal commands are, because that's really going to help us later on in the riding process here. Okay, here we go to the right. I'm going to bump him with the lead rope, cluck to him, tap him with the whip. Good. Now if we do that often enough, he'll just come to associate the cluck to mean moving forward. Now he's actually doing this halfway decent. He's pulling on me a little bit, but not too bad. I'll just bump him when he pulls on me to let him know he has to stay in here. Now I'm gonna stop him by whoa, whoa, ho, ho. Good. As soon as he stands still, then we tell him good, we slack the lead rope. Now we're going to go the opposite way. I'm going to lead him with my left hand, and I'm going to cluck to him. He's going the wrong way, so I'm going to bump him. Now he knows he's supposed to go, he's just getting his directions confused. So I'm not going to punish him for that. We'll just keep doing it until he goes the right way. Help him. I'm going to hold the whip out here to encourage him to go to the left. There he goes. Good. Good. Now when he's trotting these circles around me, his head should be tilted in just a little bit, turned in just a little bit, not a lot. I don't want his head going to the outside. And this basically is no different than when I'm riding him and we're going in a circle to the left, I want him bent slightly to the left. When we're going in a circle to the right, I want him bent slightly to the right. Okay, now he's really starting to pick this up. Ho, ho, bump him. Good, he stood still, give him the slack. Good boy. Now as I approach him, he's a little worried. So I'm gonna pet him here a little bit. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Now this colt isn't afraid of people, so I can pet him just about anywhere. But if he was kind of afraid, I'd be petting him on the neck to give him a little confidence. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Now, he's kind of starting to get the idea of moving forward from clucking to him. Now we're going to try leading him straight ahead now. And so I'm not liking that. So I'm going to get alongside of him. And he's backing up. Now he wants to overreact. He thinks I'm going to whip on him. Good. Now the fact that he's going around me, he just thinks that we're going to go back to doing circles. I'm not going to get after him because he's just not understanding right now. Good. And as soon as he starts going, I'm going to go with him. Good. I don't care that he's going around me at this point. I will later. But I just want him, when I tug on this lead rope, when I tug on the lead rope, I want him to know that he's supposed to come with me. Now he's ignoring me here. There he goes. Now it's important when you do this that you face the direction that you want to go. So if I want to walk forward, I'm not going to look at him. I'm going to look where I want to go, ask him to come with me. That time I didn't let him go around me. Good. And I want him to walk beside me with the lead rope loose like this. Good boy. As simple as this seems, this is super important. It's super important that you get this because it lays the foundation for everything that's yet to come in the training process. If you can't, I'm not going to let him run around me. If you can't get him to lead willingly and be happy about it, you're not going to be able to get him to do much else either. This is the way I like him to lead. He's alongside me, the lead rope is hanging loose. Now he's not going, I'm gonna give him a little, well, I didn't have to give him a tap with the whip. Now I'm not gonna let him run in front of me. If he starts to go too far past me, I'm gonna bump him back. Give him a little tap with the whip there. Ho, ho, ho. Good, good. Now he's overreacting. I'm not gonna let that bother me. Good boy. Now he's walking alongside me with the lead rope hanging loose, and that's what I want. Oh. Good. Now, we're gonna make a sharp turn to the right into the colt. I'm gonna bump his lead rope that direction. Good. Now he's crowding me. I don't want him to crowd me. See, we're going to the right. Part of him respecting me means he needs to respect my space. He can't walk over the top of me. So as we're going along there, he started coming to me and pressing against me. That I will not tolerate. He has to respect my space, otherwise he'll walk all over the top of me and step on me and stuff, okay? And they can understand that. If he's out in the pasture with other horses that are dominant to him, he's not going to crowd them. He's going to give them plenty of room and respect their space. Should be no different with me. So here again, we're going to walk forward. Good. And now I'm going to turn him to the right, and he's not moving away from me. I'm going to pop him in the nose with the end of the whip. And this thing, you got to be careful. You don't want to haul off and belt him one, but you just want to tap him, take the handle and just tap him. Let him know that when you come into him, he's supposed to move away. Good, good, good. That was pretty good. Now, that's something he's not going to learn in one session. Good. Good. That's something he's not going to learn in one session, so I'm not going to kill him for it, but we'll try to get the idea across. Now he's kind of sewing up. Good. You ask him politely, give them a chance to come, and if they do, you're not going to get after them. Give them a chance. Again, I'm going to turn him away from me. He's not moving away from me. Kind of pop him one. There we go. Good. Good. Notice now he's really starting to, he's wanting to stay beside me here, and that's what I want. Turn to my left. Good. Ho, 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 ho. Good. Okay. Now overall, you know, that's all I want to get across to this colt this lesson. That was plenty good. He kind of understands what I want. He has a little bit more respect for me. He still doesn't have a lot of respect for me, but he has a little bit. And he's trying to figure out what I want. So we're gonna end this leading session right here. Okay, we're gonna move on to the second step of the starting process. We have the same colt here that we used for the lesson on leading. And normally I would take 2 or 3 days of just repeating that leading lesson before I moved on to the next step. But for the sake of the camera in this video, we're just gonna move right on ahead here. The next thing that I wanna do is I wanna saddle the colt, and I want to put a snaffle bit on him. Now, we're out here in a big 120 foot, no, it's not bigger than that, it's like 130 foot arena. And I want him to learn to stand here and let me saddle him without a lot of muss and fuss. Now, the first time, it's not, you know, it usually isn't going to go that well. Sometimes they'll fool you and you'll get away with it. But we'll test this little guy here and just see how he is to saddle and bridle. And now I'm going to bridle him first, put the snaffle bit on him first. Because if I saddle him first and he goes to bucking, I'm going to have a tough time getting that snaffle bit on him. I risk him bucking over the top of me or knocking me down. So I'm going to put the snaffle on him first, and then I'm going to saddle him. So I've got my snaffle bit laying here on the ground. And again, I'm wearing gloves so I don't risk getting my hands burned with the lead rope. And all this is just a regular standard ring snaffle. I have a little curb strap on it to keep it from pulling through the sides of the horse's mouth. And I have a ring on this curb strap that's gonna allow me to lunge him with this later on. And then we'll go into that more later. But for right now, all you need to know is we've got a snaffle bit, and I've got it on an old beat up head stall, so if something happens to it, it's no big loss. And I'm gonna put the snaffle bit on over the halter. So I'm gonna get everything set. Now before I even try to put this on him, I'm going to get him used to being handled like I'm gonna bridle him, okay? Which means I'm gonna put my hand up here. And he doesn't seem to mind that, which doesn't surprise me because they've clipped his bridle path, so he's used to being handled up here. And I'm gonna put my fingers in his mouth. Let him know what that's about. And I'm gonna take him out before he gets upset about it. I just want him to know that we're gonna put something in his mouth, and I'm gonna take it out right away, so it's nothing to worry about. My finger in his mouth, and then take it right back out. Good boy, good boy. The other side, put my finger in his mouth, and take it right back out. Do it again. Good. Now, I'm also going to teach him to lower his head so that I can bridle him without a lot of muss and fuss. So I'm going to put my hand, I'm going to turn him sideways here so you can see him a little bit better. Now, right behind the horse's ears is a set of nerves. And I'm going to put a little pressure on those nerves, and if he lowers his head even a little bit, I'm going to release the pressure. I want to teach him that when I push down, to lower his head. Okay, now I just barely touched him and he lowered it, not because of my touch, but because he was going after a fly. Doesn't matter, he lowered it when I put a little pressure. I'm going to take the pressure off. Put my hand up here. And again, I just got lucky right there. He didn't really lower it because of my hand. He lowered it because he was going after a fly, but he still lowered it, so I removed the pressure. So put a little pressure, and he lowered it just a fraction of an inch, so I took the pressure off. And I just keep that pressure on until he lowers it just a little, because I want him to, there, good boy, good boy. And you want to praise him when he does good, because they do understand when you're pleased and when you're not pleased. So it doesn't matter what you say, as long as you say it in a kind voice and you pet him and let him know that you're pleased with him. Now I'm going to repeat that. Put a little pressure. He lowered it. They don't have to lower it a lot, just a little. Put the pressure, pressure. Good, good, good boy, good. That's a good boy. Okay, now he responded pretty good to that, so I'm going to go ahead and put the snaffle bit on him. I don't know if he's ever been bridled or saddled before. I doubt it. I guess there's a possibility. I really don't know the history of this colt. Okay, now he's wanting to chew on it. I'm not going to get after him for that, at least not the first couple days. Put my hand up between his ears, and I'm going to grab the top of the headstall. And he's going to be easy to bridle because he's already wanting something in his mouth. Notice how low his head is. Because my hand's between his ears, he thinks we're doing that head lowering deal. Okay, now I'm going to take the offside ear, move it forward, put it through the headstall. Now this headstall's too small for him, so I'm going to make it bigger. Better to start out with it too big. Okay. Now, I lift up the headstall, move this ear forward, put the headstall on. And it's important that when you put this headstall on, you move the ears forward when you're putting it on. Get them out of the way. Okay. Do up the throat latch. And he's kind of playing with the bit, and that's fine, that's normal. Now I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit. I just want a little bit of a wrinkle in that horse's, in his lips, because I want him to learn to keep his tongue underneath the bit. I don't want him putting his tongue over the bit. Now if the camera can come in close on the bit and his mouth, you can see where the bit is stretching his mouth just a little. Let me get a good look at it here. Yeah, that's about right. Normally, after we've bridled him a few times, I don't want it stretching his mouth. We'll drop it down a notch so that it's just barely up into the corners of his mouth. But for the first couple times, to teach him to keep his tongue under the bit, I'm gonna put it a little higher than normal. And he's basically gentle, so that's why he's taking all this in stride. Another horse might make a little bit more of a big deal out of this. Now, we're going to saddle him, and because he might take off bucking or running away, I'm going to put a lunge line on him, or this is basically just like a 30-foot half-inch piece of rope with a snap on the end of it. Snap that into the halter. Come here, kiddo. I'll turn him around so you can get a better view of him. Oh, kiddo. Take the blanket. Now I'm just gonna take this blanket, and I'm not gonna stand in front of him because I don't wanna risk him. Some horses will get scared of the blanket and they'll strike at it. So don't be standing right in front of him asking to get struck. Be off to the side and bring the blanket to his shoulder. He's a little leery of it, but he's not really that afraid of it. Let him kind of smell it here. And I'm just gonna rub it on his neck. Now, at this stage of the game, you don't have to rub it all over his body and sack him out. You just want him not afraid of it. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. That's a good boy. Just let him know that you're not gonna whip him with it or hurt him with it. Now, just for the heck of it, I'm gonna bring it down over the front of his face. Now, he didn't react at all. A lot of colts would have got a little upset over that. Good, that's pretty good. This is, I think by nature, a pretty quiet colt. Now he's just gonna stand there, so I'm just gonna step over here and grab the other blanket. Now the reason I'm using woven blankets here rather than a pad, the blankets will hold the saddle in place better without having to cinch the girth up so tight. If you use a lot of those pads, those one-piece pads, they just contribute to the saddle rolling all over the horse's back. I don't like them. These woven blankets have a tendency to grip the horse, keep the saddle where it belongs. Now we're kind of getting lucky here. He's just standing here. He doesn't want to go anywhere. But I'm going to throw it on his back. I'm going to have this rope ready. Yeah, I worried him a little bit. Here again, when you're doing this stuff, you want to glance at your horse's head, see what he's thinking. Now see, he's a little concerned, but he's not ready to panic. I mean, his ears are back and he's checking it out. But he's not going to panic, not yet. Oh, kiddo. Now I'm going to step on the other side. Make sure everything looks okay. Let that come down nice and easy. We don't want to startle him. You don't want to sneak around him, but you don't want to startle him either. Make sure the girth is adjusted right, and it is. You notice this saddle has a back cinch. The reason for that is I want him to get used to all that kind of stuff right away. I don't want to get him started and then have to introduce a back cinch later on and get him used to it. I want him to get used to it now. Okay. I'm going to see if I can't move him to the side so you can see a little bit better. Oh, kiddo. Oh. Okay. Put the stirrup over the horn. Now, a lot of colts, they're fine when you place that saddle on their back. What upsets them, what startles them, is when you start tightening that girth up. So I'm gonna make a big deal out of getting him used to that. Notice I'm standing at my colt's shoulder. He can't kick me from standing here. And I got a hold of the girth, and I'm gonna pull it up nice and light, and I'm just gonna pull it and release it. Let him feel it underneath there. And I'm gonna put a little pressure on it and release it, just to let him know that it's no big deal. Okay, he's not reacting to that. Keep this rope draped over my arm so I can get to him if I need to. Now I'm just barely gonna snug this cinch up. Just barely. And now I'm gonna loosen it. Let him know that it's not gonna trap him. A lot of colts feel trapped when they feel that cinch come up, and I'm gonna cinch it up tight now, and I'm immediately gonna undo it. Let him know that it's not a bad thing. Cinch it up again. Now I got that pretty snug. I'm gonna undo it. Good. Now I think he's okay, so I'm gonna cinch it up here. It's not gonna be real tight, but it's gonna be snug enough to where if he takes off and bucks, it's gonna stay on him. Now, that's cinched up tight. What can happen, some of these colts are gonna stand here just fine. Others, when they take that first step or second step, they'll explode and start bucking, or they'll try to run away. You gotta be ready for that. Now I'm gonna reach under here, grab the back cinch. This, I'm gonna bring it up snug and release it. Bring it up snug and release it. I'm not gonna have this as tight as the front cinch. There's about 2 inches of play there. Okay, now, this colt, when you first saddle them, if they're the kind to buck or panic, a lot of times what they're gonna do, they're gonna come to you for help. And so my main concern when this colt takes the first couple steps is that he doesn't buck over the top of me or run over the top of me. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm basically gonna turn him loose and make sure he stays away from me, okay? So I'm gonna unsnap him. I'm gonna tighten this up just a little bit more. And now he's starting to move. I'm gonna step away. And we'll just have the camera follow the colt. He doesn't seem too concerned. I'm gonna move him a little bit. He thought about bucking a little bit there, but then changed his mind. He's not too concerned about it. And we just want to move him around. Okay, he's not going to do anything, so I'm going to see if I can't catch him up. Because I like to start my colts out in a big arena, 130-foot arena, or in my indoor arena, which is big, I want to establish control over this colt, and I want to be able to that very first ride, be able to turn him, get his head, be able to stop him and control him a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lead rope back on him. Now, I'm going to snap the lead rope into the side snap of the halter, okay? Take the lunge line off. And basically, I'm going to tie the lead rope to the saddle, and I want this colt to teach himself to give to rein pressure. That's all we're going to do here. And I'm going to come up. Come here, kiddo. And I'm going to bump his head a few times. See if I can't get him to give it to me. Good. Let him know that when you're bumping it, when he gives his head, you give him slack. You want to kind of get the idea across. Good, 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 good. So now I'm going to take the lead rope behind the cantle of the saddle, and I'm going to just put a little bit of pressure on it. Just enough there that when he gives his head to the side, he's going to get some slack. I'm going to tie it off to the saddle horn. And now that's set up so that the lead rope is putting pressure there. See, he turned his head and he gave to it. And as soon as he gave to it, he got slack. And he's going to teach himself how to give to pressure that way. Now, in my normal day, I would just leave him here and go ride another horse while he kind of educated himself. I'd leave this for about 15 minutes, okay? And then once he was giving to it, I'd switch sides and do it the other way. And we're gonna do that. And ideally, by leaving this colt out here for 15 minutes, he would be walking around and he'd be teaching himself how to give to that pressure as he was walking around. Okay, now he thinks pressure on his head means give his head that way. So I got to go through the bumping process here and let him know to give it this way. Good, good. As soon as he gives it, I give him slack. He's kind of resisting it there. Good, okay. Again, we go around the back of the cantle. Just snug it up so there's some pressure. Take his head to the side a little bit. Tie it off to the saddle horn. I used a couple half hitches there. And again, we leave him for 15 minutes while we go off and do something else. And he'll walk around this arena and he'll learn to give his head that way. Now, once he does it good in the halter, we're gonna quit for that day. Okay, let's just say we're on our second day here. And because this colt, yeah, he's already gotten used to the snaffle bit. He's not messing with it. If your colt is still opening his mouth, chewing on the snaffle, he's not used to it yet. And you're not going to put any pressure on that snaffle bit whatsoever until he's quiet in the mouth the way this horse is. This horse isn't messing with the snaffle, so I know he's accepted it. So once he's accepted it, now I'm going to step it up to step 2 here. You see where I've got the snap snapped into the side of the halter? This time I'm going to take the lead rope, put it through the ring of the snaffle, and then snap it into the side of the halter so that what we've got is when we put pressure on the lead rope here, we're getting a little bit of pressure in the horse's mouth, but it's still mostly coming from the halter. You can see how that works? I'll move his head to the side and I'll bump this. See how we get both snaffle bit and halter pressure there. And I'll just do the same thing. I'll put it around the back of the cantle and I'll leave him for 15 minutes. Now because we're kind of rushing things here a little bit, I'm just gonna bump him around. And I'm gonna change sides. Put it through the snaffle, snap it into the halter. So we've got equal pressure on the halter and the snaffle bit. And by this way, he understands what the bit is for, but if he tests it, if he tries to pull against it, we're not going to hurt his mouth because a lot of that pressure is coming from the on the halter. Good. Now he's doing this pretty good. So we're gonna, now once they understand that, then we can go just directly to the snaffle bit. And here again, we bump it, pull him around. And again, once he understood, once he gave a little bit to the bumps, then I would put the lead rope behind the cantle, tie it off to the saddle horn, and I'd leave him. And you might do this over several days. You don't have to do it all in one day. You can do a little bit one day, and then come back the next day and do a little bit more. The nice thing about this type of training method is that you can fit it to your schedule. You don't have to do it all at once. Now we're going to change sides. I'm going to bump him. Good. Good. Now he's given to that real good. So we can go to the next step. Once he learns how to give to it like that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lunge line, and I'm going to snap it into this ring that I have attached to the curb strap. And this ring will slide on the curb strap, so it'll slide over here to this side of the bit, and if I'm on the other side, it'll slide to the other side of the bit. That way, I can lunge this horse in two directions, and I don't have to unsnap the snap and snap it onto the left side of his face, and then if I want to change directions, I got to come over here and snap it onto the right side of his face. This way, I can change directions anytime I want, and that ring will slide. I'm going to get my lunging whip over here. And I'm basically going to teach this colt to follow that bit. Now, here again, remember our leading lesson? When we lead with our left hand, cluck to the colt, he's supposed to go that way. Then we'll tap with the whip. And again, from our leading lesson, he already knows how to lunge. So we'll just do it with the saddle and bridle. Now if his head goes to the outside, I'm going to bump it to the inside. Keep him going. Use your cluck. The two commands your colt needs to know is cluck to go forward, and when it's time to stop, to say whoa. Ho. Ho. Good. Good boy. Now, we're going to change directions. Well, he did that good. Now he's stopping. Open my hand up again. Cluck to him. Good. Now if I want to keep him going, it's important that I walk toward the horse's hip. I want to kind of drive him a little bit. So I'm kind of walking to his hip to encourage him to keep going around. If I get out ahead of him, that's his cue to stop. Now I'm going to ask him to stop. Ho, ho. He's not listening. I'm going to, ho, good. Good, 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 good. Let him stand there for a little bit. I'm going to change directions. Okay, now I'm going to fool him a little bit. I'm going to move, and I'm going to ask him to kind of come to me a little bit. I'm going to step to the right, bump him to, good. Now I'm going to walk past him, cluck to him, and ask him to come to me. There we go. Ask him to come to me. Now, when I'm asking him to come to me, when he runs past me like this, I'm pulling and releasing. Pull, release, pull, release. if you just hang solid on his head, you're teaching him to pull on you, and plus you're teaching him to be heavy in the mouth. We want to lighten him up. We want him to realize that if he responds to the bit the very first time or lightly, that he gets very little pressure. And the way we do that is the instant he responds, we give him slack. Now ask him to go to the right. And pull him to me. Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Good. Ask him to go the other way. Now I'm going to pull him to me, pull, release, pull, release. Step to him, pull, release. Good. And all I'm really doing is teaching him follow the pull. This is how I'm going to establish control so that the very first time I ride him, he'll know to follow the pull. So if he tries to take off or buck, I can basically stop him by pulling on the reins one direction or the other, and he'll know to follow that pull, and I'll be able to have some control. Okay, now I'm going to step directly behind him, and then pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Step directly behind him, pull, release, pull, release. Step directly behind him, pull, release. Pull, release, pull, release. Notice every time I pull, he gives his head to me. It's pretty important. Now, this colt is real quiet, so he's taking this all in stride. But if you have a flighty colt or one that's kind of overreacts, you can do a lot of this, and this will really quiet him down. A lot of colts, you step back here, and that colt will take off. Boy, and you just pull him to you. You step over here, the colt takes off, pull him to you. And they learn that it doesn't do any good to try to run away. Pull him to you. Pull him to you. And you can pull hard, as long as you give the release right after it. Good. And all I'm doing is establishing control here. Ho. 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 Now he wants to overreact by running around, and I'm just reinforcing that word, whoa. Ho. 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 I'll ask him to go into motion. Ho. 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 Now, you notice when I'm gonna pull and release him, if he's got speed going like that, I take my rope and brace it across my hip so I'm a little more solid here. He's not jerking me around as much. You still have to slack, be ready to slack. But if they want to get some speed going, you want to do that hip lock to kind of save your body. Ho. Ho. Now see, he's not even pulling on me now. He's learned that I'm going to pull him around, and he learned to give to this. He's not even testing it now. Look at that. Ho. He tested it that time. Ho. Ho. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. Now, this part has gone real well. Let me just kind of review what we've done so far. We've taught this colt how to lead, respond better to the halter. We've taught him how to lunge. We've taught him to accept the bridle. We've taught him to accept the saddle. Although we didn't really have to teach him to accept the saddle, he just kind of stood there and took it. We've also taught him to give his head with the bit, how to respect it, how to come to the pull. He pretty much knows what the cluck means, and he also knows what whoa means. They're not completely ingrained in his mind yet, but he's got a pretty good idea he's on the right track. So we're going to end this lesson right here. Okay, moving ahead with this same colt, we pretty much have him to the point where he doesn't seem to mind the saddle. He's responding well to the snaffle bit from the ground. When we ask him to come with the pull, he gives his head and follows the pull. He knows how to lunge. He has some respect for us now. And again, we're kind of speeding along here for the benefit of the video. Normally I'd take several days to do this, maybe even a week or two, depending on the attitude of the colt. This colt's pretty quiet, so I can kind of speed things up and be okay. If your colt gets frightened easily, take more time. Instead of getting it done in a week, take 2 weeks, take 3 weeks. You don't want to get on your horse's back if he's still scared of the saddle. Okay? If he's still scared to be petted or anything moving, it's not time to get on him then. Okay? This colt, he's not bothered by the saddle. I can make some noise. Doesn't really do anything. He's giving his head good. Now, I'm going to ride him here. I think I'm going to ride him. My general rule of thumb is I'll work with the colt. If everything's going good and I feel the time's right, then I'll step on him and ride him. If my gut feeling tells me that something's wrong, he's not in the right frame of mind, I'll wait a day. Okay? I don't like to be in a situation where I'm forced to make the colt pack my weight around if something's not right. Now, I've got just a copper regular ring snaffle on this colt. I've got some pretty long reins on it. Before I get on him, I'm going to remind him how to give to the pull, because once I'm on him, my only sources of control is taking his head away. If he wants to buck, I'm going to take his head away, okay? By taking his head away, I mean I'm going to bring it around to the side and I'm going to hold it. And if I've got his head around to the side, he can't really buck and he can't really run away either, okay? So because that is my only control, that's my only safety brake, I want to make sure that it's working, okay? So this is what I'm going to do. Put the reins over the colt's neck. Now, I'm going to take the offside rein and I'm going to bring it behind the saddle. I'm going to step back behind the colt. I'm going to pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, until he steps forward to me, okay? I want this colt to really know to come to the pull. Now I'm going to do it again. He didn't do that very good. Step behind the colt, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Good. I'm going to continue to pull and release until the front end comes to me, okay? I'm not going to let him just kick his butt out and face me and that's it. I really want the front end to come to me. Now we're going to do it the opposite way. And this colt's staying fairly quiet about this, which is good. Now, little bumps to get the head started. Now, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Notice how the front end came to me. That is extremely important, okay? And we'll go on the other side. Give him little bumps. Get that nose started. So I want the nose to come first. He's got to start the nose. Now, pull, release. Pull, release. Good. And I'm going to do this until he comes a little more freely. That was pretty good. He came with the first pull and release. Good. He didn't really resist me. Now some of you are saying, well boy, you're standing directly behind that colt. Aren't you afraid he's going to kick you? At this stage of the game, no. Because he has a lot more respect for me now. He knows that I can control him and I'm making him do things and I'm not going to let him have his own way. So he's not going to try to kick me because he knows that I'm the one that's running the show. He knows that I'm the one that's in charge. Now when we first started with the leading lesson, he had zero respect for me and he thought about kicking me and letting me have it. But that's over with now. He knows that I won't tolerate that and that I'll get after him if he wants to be a bad actor. So, give his nose a few bumps to get it started. Now he's kind of resist, there he comes. Good, now see he brought that front end around. I didn't have to pull him hard, it was just a series of light pulls. Now he's just about ready to ride. We're gonna do it one more time. This way. Little tiny, good. See how, boy, that front end just came around, I just barely had to pull those reins. That was good. That was good, yeah, that was good. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna introduce him to my weight. He's never felt my weight before. And I'm gonna do it in a safe manner. Make sure the saddle's tight. I'm gonna take it up one more notch. Now, let me go over some safety tips. Number one, I'm not gonna give this colt a chance to hurt me when I'm getting on, okay? I'm not gonna just pitch caution to the wind, leave his head free with the reins loose and step up on him. He could either go to bucking or he could take off running. Either way, I'm in trouble, okay? Number two, I'm not gonna put my foot all the way in that stirrup. If I put my foot all the way in the stirrup and I've gotta get off, I'm hung up. Can't get it out quick enough. So when you first get on, you just barely put enough toe in that stirrup so that you can get up. That way, if you need to step back off, your foot will come out easily, okay? So, because this is the first time he's gonna feel my weight, I've got the reins crossed over his neck. I've got my left rein shorter than my right rein. Remember, the way I can control him if something goes wrong is to pull his head around, okay? Now, I'm gonna just barely put my toe in here, and I'm gonna keep the reins snug, grab onto his mane, and I'm gonna just bounce up and down here, pull on the saddle, let him feel what's gonna happen. Now he started to move off. I'm gonna bump him back. Good. Bump him back some more. Now when you bump back on that bit or the halter and they don't back up, you smack them on the chest. If they're really bad about it, when you're teaching them to lead and you've got that whip in your hand, you bump them back and you can tap them with the whip on the front legs, let them learn that bumping back on the halter or bit means back up. Okay, now, I'm gonna step up here again, just my toes in the stirrup, got my left rein shorter than my right, step back down. He started to walk off, I stepped back down before he took off. Step back down. Good, that time he stood still. By going up and down, you let him know that nothing bad's gonna happen. You're up there, kind of worries them, you step back down before they get scared. Now once I do go all the way on, I'm gonna take his head to the side so he can't buck and he can't take off running. I'm gonna control the situation right from the start. And if I really expected him to be bad, I would actually be holding on to the head stall and I'd pull his head around as I was getting up, just as an insurance policy that he couldn't take off with me. This colt, this isn't absolutely necessary, but on another one, it might be. Now I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna hang on to his head until he stands still. Good. I still got my left rein and I'm bumping him with it. I want to keep his head to the left. Good. Little tiny bumps. Now because we rushed things here, he's not giving his head to this bit as good as I normally would have one. Now we're standing here, my toe is just in the stirrup. I don't have my right foot in the stirrup yet. It's ready to step off. If he acted like he was gonna buck or run away, I would probably step off. But he's standing here real good. I'm gonna get off. Good boy. Why did I step off? He was being good. I wanted to let him know that it's gonna be over with and everything's okay before he got scared. I want to avoid a wreck. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and cheek him again. This is called, when you take hold of the head stall like this, is called cheeking. Now he's moving. If he's moving, I'm going to hang on to it. There. Now I've put my right foot in the stirrup. Notice how I still have this left rein shorter than the right rein. You can't see it where it's on the other side, but I have it so that I can pull his head around to the left if I need to. Now I'm just going to move around in the saddle. And that's not bothering him much. Good boy. Good boy. Let him know that everything's okay. I have my stirrups fairly short so that if he does want to buck or he wants to run, my stirrups are short enough to give me security. If they're too long and I have to reach for them, I could easily lose them and then I'm bucked off. Now, I'm going to ask his head to the right. Make sure that I can get it to the right. Now this isn't a solid pull, I'm basically just playing little pulls and releases. When he gives his head, I give him slack. Now he kind of tripped. Now I'm gonna, little bumps to the left here. He gives his head, I give him slack. Little bumps, good. He's coming with the rein pretty good. He remembered what we did on the ground. Bump, 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 good boy. Good. Bump, 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 bump. Now with the right rein. Bump, 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 bump. Good. Bump, 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 bump. And bump, 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 bump. Okay, now he's understanding that pretty good. So I'm gonna see if I can't encourage him to go forward. I'm gonna be ready to take his head away and if he wants to take off either faster than I want or he wants to think about bucking. Now, I'm gonna give him a little bumps with my legs, not real hard, just little tiny ones, and I'm gonna cluck to him. And as soon as he walks forward, I'm gonna quit bumping with my legs. Notice I have my left rein shorter than my right, so that I can pull his head to the left if I need to. I'm holding on to the saddle horn, so if something does startle him and he jumps, I'm not thrown off balance. I'm secure. I can stay with him. And what I'm trying to do here is get him used to carrying my weight without panicking. And I'm going to keep him in a small area here. Pull, release. Good. Pull, release. Good. Now see, he's following my hand pretty good there. Good boy. Good boy. Now I'm going to take him to the right. I'm going to shorten up my right rein. Hold on to the saddle horn with my left rein. Pull, release. Give him little bumps till he learns how to give to the rein. Give him little kicks. Now for an instant there, he got a little startled. He thought about taking off. And I just went totally relaxed on him and he changed his mind. It's imperative that you are relaxed on the colt. If you're scared or nervous and your body's tight and tense, he can sense that and it's going to make him scared. That's why if you're not an accomplished rider with good balance, you really shouldn't be starting colts, because you're gonna be worried and you're gonna get them off to a bad start. Bump his nose to the right, get him following it, following his head, bump, bump, bump. Now right now, I'm not looking for anything being perfect. I'm just getting the basics of him following the pull of the rein and going forward from my legs. Good. Now that went pretty good. Now he's standing here. I'm going to move my legs around. Again, I'm going to be ready to take his head around to the side in case he gets startled and takes off. Just kind of getting used to moving around. Now the cattle have come up alongside the fence. He sees them there. I don't know if he knows what cattle are, but I'm not going to take any chances. I'll be ready for him to spook from those cattle. Now I'm going to get him going now. Good. And I'm just going to let him wander around the arena. I'm not going to make him go precisely where I want him to go. This first ride, all you really want to accomplish is getting the colt to move around and stay relaxed about it. Good boy. If he wants to stop, that's fine. I'm going to turn him to the left. Good. Turn him to the right. Pull, release. Pull, release. Turn him to the right again. Bump, 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 bump. There. Give him little bumps until he gives his head. Turn him to the right again. Good. Gave his head pretty good that time. Now he's starting to take off. Pull his head to the right, pull, release, pull, release. His head's going up. He kind of started to panic there. By taking his head with pulls and releases, I kept him from taking off with me. I do not want him to run away with me. Pull him to the left. Kick on him a little bit. Pull him to the right, pull, release. He's a little stiffer to the right. Pull, release, kick on him a little bit. I'm kicking on him just to get him thinking about my legs a little bit more. Cluck him up. Ask him to slow down. Ho. Ho, 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 ho. Now when I took him up into a trot, he kind of started to panic. As soon as I felt him start to panic, taking him into a small circle. That's my control. Taking his head to the side is what the control that I've got. I'm going to speed him up a little bit. I'm going to slow him down. Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Now see, he was going to panic there. Thought about taking off, maybe bucking a little bit. Before the wreck started, I stopped it just by pulling and releasing, taking that head to the side. He came right back down and was quiet. Now I'm going to take him up into a trot again. Pull, release, pull, release. He kind of started to get a little worried. Now I can feel when he gets worried, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I can feel his back start to hunch up and get tight. I can feel his muscles get tense. I can tell that something bad's gonna happen, that he's getting worried. That's when I slow him back down. I slow him back down before we get past that point of no return. He's getting a little excited, so I'm going to bring him into a circle. Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Good boy. Good. Good. Take him the other way. Put him up into the trot. He's not trotting. I'm going to give him a little tap at the end of the rein. Good. Starting to pick up too much speed. Pull, release, pull, release. Good. As soon as he started picking up too much speed, take his head to the side with the pull and release. Now he's loping, and as long as he lopes relaxed, that's fine. The only time I take his head away is when I feel him tense up like he's gonna panic. Now he's trotting pretty relaxed. Notice how he's zigzagging all over the place? That's normal. Don't worry about that. Don't make a big thing about it. Good. Now he's loping on the wrong lead. Again, don't make a big thing about it. This is his first ride. We don't care. We just want to have a nice, relaxed ride with nothing bad happening. Now he jumped there. He saw something fall off the fence. Good. Now he's trotting pretty relaxed. He's getting a little worried now. Okay, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Now he wanted to buck right there, not bad, but as soon as he bucked, pull that head around, let him know you're not going to tolerate that.